We're hearing about, the $2 trillion stimulus package. So tag somebody, share this, join me so we can talk about financial behaviors during COVID-19. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, I actually wrote this down because I know sometimes I get excited and then I'm like, dang, I wanted to share that too. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about was taking a pause. We're not supposed to be going anywhere right now. We're not supposed to be doing a whole bunch of unnecessary driving. It's for necessity moves only. So what you should be doing during this time is taking a pause. I'm encouraging people to assess their financial behaviors. Think about the places that you were probably going somewhat unnecessarily, right? Like not, your regular stuff, but unnecessary. Like, were you doing excessive happy hours prior to this? Were you spending money in the mall just because prior to this? Like, where are some places that you were going, time that you were spending, money that you were spending prior to this that you realized during this time where most of us, have to be at home? You're like, yo, I didn't really need to be going there. I could have been saving maybe $300, $500, or $1,000 a month just by changing my behavior. So I share this with people a lot of times. Financial behaviors. Hey, Kayla. Financial advising, financial planning is really about the behavior more than the strategy. I'll say that again. Financial planning is more about the behavior than the planning. Part of the reason why we've seen the bounce in the market over the last couple of days is because now we are hearing about the $2 trillion stimulus. So the fear is reducing a tad bit just by the announcement, which is part of the reason why I've said to people before, don't invest in the headlines. Just be very careful about that. So in this first point, what I want you to take away from this is take this time to pause. Don't make any excessive purchases on your credit cards, any of those things. Take a pause and look at your financial behaviors over the past. We're still the top of the year. So over the last couple months and maybe even last year, and say, where was I spending my time and my money before that during this time? Since I really can't do that, do I need to resume that behavior once this stuff has cleared up? Because if you have seen that you can live without those behaviors, you probably don't need to restart them after we have the clearance to be able to get back to life, quote unquote, as usual. And that's where you're going to be able to save. That's where you're going to be able to invest once this stuff has cleared up, and you'll be able to do it more effectively. Hey, Letitia, good to see you. The next thing, number 2, monitor your credit. So we are living in a desperate time right now. I went out this morning and I couldn't even get paper towel for my family. Now, granted, we don't have to have paper towel, but still, the reality is we are living in a desperate time where people are fighting over toilet paper. There's no water on shelves, all that stuff. So you want to make sure that as people are desperate, we already live in an economy where it's easy to get your information just by swiping a card when you go for gas. Make sure that you are checking on your credit card statements. Like if you have a credit card, get the app, download the app on your phone. Your debit card, download your bank app, and make sure that you're monitoring it on a daily basis, because what they do is this. They'll hit your account first to see if they can get away with like a $5 purchase or a $25 purchase. It's typically a low amount, because if they automatically hit it with a large charge, a lot of times your bank will alert you automatically and they'll eliminate it. So you want to start with just seeing where these purchases may be coming from. So keep track of your statements, your credit card statements and your debit card statements. So have those apps. Make it a religious thing that you do, especially during this time right now. Monitor your credit statements and to start disputing them immediately. The third thing I want to touch on, and I did a cute little post a couple days ago where like this little boy was running up to you and they smacked you. So I'm going to do it right now. He smacked you. Don't touch your retirement. Don't touch your retirement. Don't touch your retirement accounts. If you are not looking to retire within the next couple days, you do not have a reason to be touching your retirement accounts. This is not the time to allow the fear. Yes, we're living in serious times, but please do not make emotional, fear-based decisions where now you're touching your account where you can run into a penalty. If you're under the age of 59 and a half and you're touching that money, you're incurring, 30% between taxes and penalties just for taking that money out before you're supposed to. So don't allow this time to scare you where you end up pulling money out and it ends up hurting you than helping you. Be careful with fear. Fear is a dangerous thing, and you'll make a decision today that will affect you greatly tomorrow. And I want you to think about this. We all are aware of what took place in 2008. Yes, it was a crash. Yes, it was a crisis. Very different to COVID-19 because this has to do with our health, but it was still another situation where we saw a lot of people pull their money out of the market. But just about 3 years consecutively, we saw a rebound somewhere around 40%. I think a little bit over 40. I think it might have been like 47. But either way, it was over 40%. So people that pulled their money out, they lost money, and they really lost money because they missed the rebound. So you don't want to be a part of that wave for people that's operating in fear. I've heard comments like, this is why I'm going to keep my money underneath the mattress. Well, guess what? It's not FDIC insured. And if your house, God forbid, was to get set on fire somehow, the money's under her mattress, you can't get that money back. So don't allow, some of these old crazy sayings that we probably heard growing up to get over your mind and make poor decisions. Leave your retirement money alone. Thank you guys for coming in. If you're just coming in, I'm sharing COVID-19 tips about, financial behaviors to use during this time. Go ahead and click share for me right now. If you agree with some of the tips that I've been sharing and you've been on here from the beginning, let me get some hearts, some hearts and likes. And please go ahead and share this information. If you have a question while I'm on here, please drop your question so I can be able to help you out if possible, or maybe talk to you offline. And then the fourth point I wanted to give, I posted this earlier today. Call your service providers. They are not calling you. I'm going to say it again. Call your service providers. They are not calling you. So if you are experiencing a hardship during this time and you need more time to address your bills, go ahead and make those calls. I can tell you that Sprint, I believe Sprint is doing a 60-day waive on late payments, on late fees. They're saying to pay what you can. Again, call and verify this information on your own, to your own situation. But I know Sprint is providing some flexibility. So if you have Sprint as one of your service providers, call them. They are providing flexibility where they are waiving late payments for roughly about 60 days. I know Comcast is doing an extension, I think, until about April 3rd on any late payments. And I'm sure as time goes on, they're going to revise these benefits so to match the times that we're living in, but you have to call them. Why? Because you want this noted on your account. So if you get a bill in the mail and it looks crazy and you're like, wait a minute, I thought that it was supposed to look this way. It was supposed to look that way. You want it noted on your account that you called and you expressed that you needed some type of assistance because of the hardship through the COVID-19 crisis. Thank you for coming. If you're just coming in, I'm sharing tips on financial behaviors during the COVID-19 crisis. Go ahead and hit share. Give me a like, give me a love if you're hearing something that you think can be beneficial. So far we've talked about taking a pause, using this time to reset. We talked about monitoring your credit, download your apps from your credit card companies and your bank card companies, and make sure that you are monitoring your apps. There are scammers out here that are taking money because we're living in desperate times. We talked about the third point, don't touch your IRA. If you're not retiring tomorrow, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to incur those penalties. And we were just talking about calling your service providers because you want to make sure that you are able to get those extensions. American Express, that's another company that they are waiving finance charges, and they're also waiving interest rates right now. So if you have an Amex card, you want to make sure that you reach out to them. And if you don't, call whoever you have your credit cards through. You want to make sure that you are doing that and using your credit cards responsibly. Using your credit cards responsibly. Right now, if you have to use your credit card, please try your best for it to be urgent or emergency cases. Oh, my family from Trinidad is popping up on here. Hey, Roxy. Hey, Joanne. I love it. Make sure that you are using that credit card responsibly, charging only what you are able to pay off. So please make sure that during this time where, yes, there is some money that is supposed to be coming through the stimulus package, that you are not using this as a quote unquote come up season. That's not what this is. Now I'm shifting into my last point. The stimulus package is not the come up. The stimulus package is not the come up. The stimulus package is to help us through a period of time, right? So with all these extensions means at some point you have to pay these bills. So because of that, what you don't want to do is to, use the money that they're providing during the stimulus and then not paying your bills. Because it's going to double up on you probably sometime around May, because you're still going to get a May mortgage payment, and you're still going to get a payment, and then you still have these payments that have been extended up to a period of time. So you really want to make sure that you are not being irresponsible with this money that's on the way. So those are my tips. I'm Joanna Jane. I just wanted to come on here and share some money tips so that way you can go about what's coming down the pipeline responsibly. You're being aware so you're not a part of any crisis. I don't want anybody to get, their credit compromised. Make sure if you haven't done this before, I would encourage people to get some type of ID theft protection. You want to get some type of credit monitoring system in place. Thank you, cuz I'm trying my best. I want you to get something in line. So if there is a charge that pops up that is not familiar, you are disputing it immediately. We are living in very, very desperate times. Now that I gave you those tips, let me give you something else on the other side. We are also in a season of opportunity. Now, you have to be wise as you go about doing this because you want to be mindful of the current state that we're in. For those that are not necessarily affected by by COVID-19 in terms of a financial way, you might be already in a position where you have some emergency savings. You're able to still pay your mortgage. You're not affected, or you're not affected yet. And you're like, could I probably get into the stock market? It might be something to consider right now. I mean, we've started to see a little bit of a bounce back. It doesn't mean that this time is over. You still need to proceed with caution. I would encourage you to take a look, do your research on some companies, just like my girl, Courtney Richardson. And I also agree with her, invest in stocks invest in companies that that you're familiar with, and invest in companies where you also patronage, where you already are spending money. Why not? So I think that it is a good opportunity to probably start getting out there and seeing what's out there. Maybe you were thinking about getting Apple stock before and you couldn't afford Apple stock. Well, it was going down for a period of time, and that might have been your window to get in. Maybe you wanted Starbucks before. Maybe this is your time to get in. And just as a disclaimer, I am not telling you what stocks to pick. This is strictly for educational purposes only. Please seek a professional that you are working with one-on-one with you before you make any selections. That is my disclaimer to this video. But I definitely believe that there is another side to this market, that for people that are interested in getting into the stock market, this could be a window that you do get in. I mean, just in this example, Boeing, that we know it has to do with our airplane industry, transportation industry. I think last week there was somewhere around like $97 a share. And I think as of close today, they're already over 100. So there are these different windows that you can probably get into, but you need to follow it. You need to stay abreast of what's going on with these companies. Look into some defense stocks. Defense stocks are stocks that typically people still use them. People still need them. Like Procter and Gamble, they own Bounty. I mean, for God's sake, we can't even find paper towel right now on the racks. So these are all companies that you can probably check into. Again, I'm not telling you what to buy into. I'm just saying for those that are in the position, hey sis, for those that are in the position to actually take advantage of this market, yes, we are in a window that you can do so. Just be prepared, for any volatility, because there still are some things that are going to be coming. We're not completely out of the weeds yet, but this could be your time to actually get into the window of the stock market if you were thinking before. So you might be thinking, Joanna, what are some apps that I can try? Okay, great. And if you're just joining in, go ahead and click share for me. Share this information. I want to make sure people are getting these financial behavior tips. Show me some love if you love what you're hearing. Some likes if you like what you're hearing. 2 apps that you can use. I like Stockpile. I have Stockpile for my daughter, and I think it's really kid friendly. I love Stockpile. Stockpile breaks down the information in a, like I said, kid friendly way. The other night, she was cooking dinner. Hold on for a second. My baby cooked dinner the other night, guys. Like, give Haley a whole bunch of, she cooked dinner. I sat at the island. I did not have to go into the kitchen. And she did a good job. The chicken actually came out well. But anyway, while my baby was cooking, we were talking about different stocks and so forth that, may be of her interest. So she was like, Mom, look up L'Oreal. Mom, look up this. Who owns that? So it's a really cool, app that you can use. Then there's also E-Trade. So E-Trade is another platform that you can use to be able to purchase stocks. You connect your checking account to it. You could actually have, some cash in those accounts. So if you happen to see something and you want to get it right there and then, you can do that. I know that with Stockpile, you can even use your debit card so you can make a purchase as well if you don't have any cash in your Stockpile account. So those are my tips. Y'all have any questions? Was this helpful to anybody? I see Eleanor was here, my sister. Hey, Nay, Renee, Marcus. Thank you guys for joining in. Appreciate you. Thank you, Langston, for tuning in, and share this information with people. So I really want people to stay protected during this time. Use wisdom in all that you're doing and stay encouraged. Know that there will be glory after this. This is not going to be here all the time. Yes, proceed with caution, but yes, also operate by being prepared for the season that's going to come after this. They always say that multimillionaires are made during recession. So while we are in a recession right now, think with wisdom and take this as an opportunity where you can get into a market that you probably weren't able to get into before. That's my time. I'm Joanna Jane, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Mwah.